been playing Jesus for 500 years. Like literally.
Yeah.
Jesus doesn't look anything like Brad Pitt.
You can identify everything but the children of God. I need my people to wake up and understand that this is a propaganda.
The curse of the Pharaohs are a poor example of what wait for the plantation.
Beware false prophets who come dressed in sheep's clothing, but inwardly are ravening wolves.
You black bastard!
He that stealeth the man.
You must unlearn what you have learned.
I'd like to say shalom and blessings to all my brothers and sisters in the chat, all my kinsmen according to the flesh who are Israelites. Peace and blessings. And I hope everybody's having a good evening. And I want to welcome you to this discussion with Brother Kadar and myself dealing with the 400-year prophecy. This is a topic that has sort of crept in the background within the recent months or so. We've been dealing with Christianity and replacement theology. And so this is a topic that has sort of crept away from the sights of many, not saying that those of us who have the understanding of what's going on, but for those who don't have the understanding, once the issue of replacement theology came up, they start to choke on that. So they're choking on that and have forgotten about the 400-year prophecy. But I want to let the brother Kadar come in and grace the chat.
Shalom, shalom, family. I'd like to give thanks, glory, and praises from Yahweh to his son, Yahweh Shai, and from salt of the earth. We want to revisit that 400-year prophecy because we got to keep our minds on going home. Sometimes we can get, forget about that. I think I ain't gonna say a lot of us do, but sometimes I know me, I had to refocus my mind on getting up out of here. Of course, we got to wait on the Most High and see which way or how it's going to happen. That's why I asked questions. I think one of the times online I asked questions, how do y'all think that we're going to leave out of here? What are the signs, or the wonders, or what do y'all even think? How that's going to come about. I know I'm ready to go. I'm ready for this system of, the big E to be over. So, we want to visit this again and talk on it, have a discussion on it. And if y'all have something that's coming up, y'all seen something about the 400-year prophecy and how we supposed to leave up out of here, please put it up.
Once again, peace and blessings to everybody in the chat. There was a comment. Let me see. A brother mentioned about Colin Powell today. Yeah, we heard the news about Colin Powell. I saw it earlier, and I didn't really know what it was, but I took a look at a video and they showed some details and reiterated a lot of history on him, but we are aware of that. Real quick, let me shout out the chat real quick. A few people: Brother Darnell Blackshear, Brother Donovan Ben Judah, Optimal Training, got Sister Sheila, Shalom and Blessings, Cindy Carr, Michelle Y, Peace and Blessings, Nadia Yah's Light, the Most High Servant Daughter, Shalom and Blessings, my brother Hal Goodwin, Shalom, bro, Peace and Blessings, Demetra Harbor, shalom and blessings. Samantha Gray, Brother Kadar, Beth Nichols, shalom. Ellen F, shalom. Brother Kevin Garrard, shalom. Mr. Barbara Select, peace and blessings, shalom. Faithful sister in Yah, shalom. We got Teo in the building, shalom. Peace and blessings. Brother Yashadet, peace and blessings. All right. So before we get into the topic of the 400-year prophecy, I like to refer to it as that because you hear it referred to as the second Exodus as well, but I think they both go hand in hand, although the 400-year prophecy is fulfilled before the second Exodus actually occurs, But we wanted to talk about Esau, because a lot of our people, we've been dealing with the issue of replacement theology, who the Gentiles are according to the scripture and according to definition. And we've been dealing with a lot of people who believe in the notion of Esau being saved, or the Most High loving Esau. And so what we want to do is we want to just cover some ground on that before we get into the prophecy. We want to show where the Most High stands concerning Esau and concerning Jacob. Now, we're aware of a lot of things, and so what the Bible tells us is that we have a more sure word of prophecy. We know that the Most High don't change. And so what we want to do is see what he established concerning Esau, and the salvation of Esau, or if there will be a salvation of Esau. Kadar, you wanna add something?
No, I just want to get right into it because we have a lot of people believe that the Most High hated Esau because of what he done. But the scriptures don't say that. So you on mute, bro, I think.
My bad.
See, it's talking like one of them Chinese movies. Yeah.
It's like, man, you're on mute. My bad. I read a whole chapter. But this Malachi 1, it says, the burden of the word of Yahuwah to Israel by Malachi. I have loved you, saith Yahuwah. Yet ye say, wherein hast thou loved us? Was not Esau Jacob's brother, saith Yahuwah? Yet I loved Jacob, and I hated Esau, and laid his mountains and his heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness. So the Most High is trying to let Israel know that he loved them, but Israel has a doubt that the Most High loved them. So they said, wherein have you loved us? That's the mentality that our people have now. So when you tell them that we're in this condition that we're in because the Most High did this to us because of the multitude of our iniquities, the first question you hear is, how can a God do that? How can a God do that to a people if he loved them? Well, how could a father do that to a son, chastise his son? The Most High, the Bible tells us that he chastens who he loves, right? It's hard, but it's true. But he said, I hated Esau and laid his mountains waste and his heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness. All right. Same thing in Romans. It's Romans 9. All right. Yet I love Jacob and I hate Esau. All right. It was said unto her, the elder shall serve the younger, as it is written, yet I love Jacob and I hated Esau. All right. So why is the Most High telling us this? All right. Why is he saying he hated Esau? Is he saying that he hated Esau's actions, or is he saying that he actually hated Esau? We know that Jacob represents a people, so Esau will represent a people. All right. So now let's see if when the Most High said he hated Esau, if he was just speaking of Esau's deeds or if he was speaking of him as a people. All right. This is Psalms chapter 5. It says in verse 4, "For thou art not an Elohim that had pleasure in wickedness." All right. What does I think it's in Psalms where it tells us that the earth was given into the hand of the wicked, right? "For thou art not an Elohim that had pleasure in wickedness, neither shall evil dwell with thee. All right. The foolish shall not stand in thy sight. Thou hatest all workers of iniquity." All right. So the workers of iniquity would be those people that operate in iniquity. And we know that iniquity is lawlessness. He said he hates all the workers of iniquity. All right. This is Sirach, Ecclesiasticus in the Apocrypha, chapter 12, verse 6. "For the Most High hated sinners and will repay vengeance unto the ungodly and keepeth them against the mighty day of their punishment." I want us to pay close attention to this verse. He said he hated sinners. And these same sinners, he said he keepeth them against the mighty day of their punishment. So this is talking about a great day of judgment, the great day of judgment that's to come. The Most High said these people that he hates, he has reserved them for the great day of vengeance. So that's telling us that the Most High hated Esau from the womb. So let's prove that. This is what I wanted right here. Job 9:24. "The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covered the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where, and who is he?" All right. So let's show you that we just read, and let me pull it up one more time. Ecclesiasticus or Sirach chapter 12, verse 6. "The Most High hates sinners. He will repay vengeance unto the ungodly, and he keep them against the mighty day of their punishment." All right, let's see who this is talking about. This is the scrolls. All right. The Dead Sea Scrolls, the hymns and poems, hymn number 5. All right, I'm just going to read a portion of this. He says, "Thou alone didst create the just, establish him from the womb for the time of goodwill." All right, right off top, who is this talking about to you, Brother Kadar?
The time of goodwill would be Jacob.
Yeah, he said he established, he said, "Thou alone didst create the just and establish him from the womb for the time of goodwill, that he might hearken to thy covenant and walk in all thy ways. Israel only have I known," right?
Israel.
Everything was given to Jacob and to Israel. The promises, the covenants. We know the rundown, right? Yep. I'm trying to hurry up so I can throw you the oop right quick. He said, "And that thou mightest show thyself great to him in the multitude of thy mercies, and enlarge his straitened soul to eternal salvation. To perpetual and unfailing peace, thou will raise up his glory from among flesh." In order for him to raise us up, that means we have to be in a down position, right? But he said he's going to raise up his glory from among flesh, talking about how it said he's going to sanctify us from among the people, and he's going to be found in his people from among the Gentiles, right?
Mm-hmm.
He said, but the wicked thou didst create for the time of thy wrath. Thou didst vow them from the womb to the day of massacre. For they walk in the way which is not good. They have despised thy covenant, and their souls have loathed thy truth. They hate the truth. Despise the covenant, and they hate the truth. They have taken no delight in all thy commandments, right? You don't have to keep the law.
That's right.
You know, we don't have to do nothing in the law. Now, realizing that the law, statutes, and commandments was given to a people who separated themselves from those things.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, now they're cursed amongst the nations where they scattered. So that lets us know that it's still some value in the Most High's law. And also, people tell you that the old covenant is done away with, right? Well, why is it that when Paul mentions the old covenant, he's telling you that the old covenant is ready to wax away, and it hadn't already waxed away?
That's right.
Christ had already done what he did. So the old covenant, he should have been saying that the old covenant was done away with. All right.
Yes. A lot of people, when they look at that, they don't realize that Paul was on the same thing we on. He was ready to get up out of it. He was ready for the kingdom to come.
Yeah.
That's all it was. Yeah.
Yeah. And so he said, they have taken no delight in all thy commandments and have chosen that which thou hatest. So everything that the Most High hate is what they've chosen, is what they've given us. For according to the mysteries of thy wisdom, thou hast ordained them for great chastisements before the eyes of all thy creatures, that for all eternity they may serve as a sign and a wonder, that all men may know thy glory and thy tremendous power. So just like the curses was a sign and a wonder on our people to identify who we are, he said these judgments going to be a sign and a wonder on them. But this is what they were ordained for. So anybody saying that the Most High just hate Esau's actions, I would encourage them to re-examine that position. So now I'm going to pass it over to the brother Kadar.
All right. So we see that Esau was not hated because of what he's done. He's hated from the womb. And we know that him and Jacob was in that womb fighting. Jacob must have been was getting the best of Esau because Esau took off and came out first. Jacob had a hold to his heel. That's why they call him Jacob. But shalom, everyone. So now I want to ask Brother Eric, let's go to, well, we ain't got to go there. We can just talk about Genesis 15. You know, the prophecy in Genesis 15, it tells us that Abraham's seed will be afflicted for 400 years. And we know as a collective of Israelites that didn't happen in Egypt. Because we read Genesis 15 and 18, let us know that Goshen was part of our land. So it couldn't happen in Egypt. It said in the land is not theirs. We already know all this. So my point is that we want to revisit the 400-year prophecy in a little more depth. We're going to see that if you go to the book of Psalms 83.
You want me to share that?
Yeah.
Psalms 83.
You want to read it, or you may put my? I can read. I can't see that. I can read from my Bible, but
Yeah, you can read it from your book, and I'll just keep it up on the screen.
okay. Psalms 83. And we're going to learn that who are the players on something that they did. So Psalms 83, starting at verse 1. Keep not silent, O God. Hold not thy peace. Be not still, O Elohim. For lo, thy enemy make a tumult, and that they that hate thee has lift up the head. They has taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. And we know for a fact, as a people, we was cut off from being a nation. We don't have a nation that we can call a nation to this day. Now, let's read the players that's wanted to be up in this tumult and consulted together. Verse 5, for they have consult together with one consent, that they are confederate against thee, against Israel. The tabernacles of Edom is the first one on the list. The Ishmaelites of Moab, the Hagarenes, that's another Ishmael, Gabal, Ammon, Amalekites, Philistines, with the habitations of Tyre. Ashur also is joined with them. They have helped the children of Lot, Selah. Do unto them as unto the Midianites, as the Sisera, as to Jabin at the book of Kasun. So we see here all these nations as conspired together to cut us off from being a nation. And we got to understand that when we get to the book of Daniel, shalom, 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 shalom. More people coming in. If we get to the book of Daniel, shalom, Bo, you get to the book of Daniel, we're going to see how the prophecy that Daniel saw in Daniel chapter 7 and 1 through 10, and also Daniel 7, 25 through 27. Can you pull that up, Brother?
Daniel 7.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Daniel chapter 7. Say starting at verse 27, right?
No, I'm gonna start at verse 1.
Okay.
I'm gonna start at verse 1. I'm not gonna read all of it. Well, I don't know. I might. I want to get to the point where Daniel, after he's seen. Yeah. Let me just start reading verse 1. Yeah. Okay. Daniel 7, verse 1. We're going to see that Daniel see 4 beasts that come out of the sea. In the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel had a dream, a vision of his head upon his bed. Then he wrote the dream and told the sum of the matter. Daniel spoke and said, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, 4 winds of the heavens strove upon the great sea, and 4 great beasts came up from the sea, diverse one from another. The first was like a lion, and had eagle's wings, and behold, till the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth, and made stand upon the feet as a man, and a man's heart was given to it. And behold, another beast, a second like to a bear, and it raised up itself on one side, and it had 3 ribs in the mouth of it, between the teeth of it. And they said thus unto it, arise and devour much flesh. Verse 6, after this beheld, and lo, another like a leopard, which had upon the backs of it 4 wings of a fowl, and the beast had also 4 heads, and dominion was given to it. After this I saw in the night vision, and behold, a 4th beast, dreadful and terrible and strong exceedingly, and it had great iron teeth. It devoured and brake in pieces and stamped the residue with the feet of it. And it was diverse from all the beasts that was before it. And it had 10 horns. And I consider, now this is where he goes to the next 4 beasts. In verse 8, I consider the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn, before whom there was 3 of the first horn. The next 4 beasts is talking about here, 3 of the first horn plucked up by the roots. And behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of a man, and the mouth speak great things. And beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days, verse 9, did sit, whose garment was white as snow, and hair of his head like the pure wool. His throne was like the fury and name, and his wheels as burning fire. Now, reading all that, we see that Daniel seen first 4 beasts, which we know is Babylon, Persia, Medes, Greece, and Rome. But Rome basically had 10 nations, broken into pieces. That's what Daniel's talking about after 70 AD. When we were scattered everywhere, Rome broke up the pieces, then stayed together as a collective one empire, but it still was Rome. So once we look at this, each kingdom that Daniel saw had Israel in slavery. Babylon, he was in slavery in Babylon. Persia Medes beat them. We were subject under them. Greece beat Persia Medes. We subject under them. And Rome beat Greece. We subject under them. Then he see the Roman Empire. It was basically, the way he look at it, is here to stay. And it's going to be a certain type of beast that's going to last to the end. So we see that he see 3 more beasts, and he see one that had a little horn that rise up. And we know, well, I want to do anybody know, I'm pretty sure y'all should know who that little horn is, the last one. So he sees 4 more beasts according to Daniel 7, 8, 9. Verse 8, he sees 4 more beasts. Now, Brother Eric, you got anything you want to say on that before I go farther?
No, sir.
All right. So let's go to Daniel chapter 7, verse 25 through 27. You got to put it up. Okay. Daniel 7, verse 25, and it reads, and he shall, well, I'm going to start at verse 24. And the 10 horns out of his kingdom are 10 kings that shall arise. Another shall arise after them, and he shall be diverse from the first, and he shall subdue 3 kings. Remember that? It goes back to Daniel 8, verse 25. And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws. They shall be given into his hand, talking about the beast, until a time and the dividing of what? Times. Now, we see here when we read this, it says that the beast, which is collected Roman Empire, is start to change times and laws. And that's what he did. And he said that we would be given unto him a time and 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 a dividing of times. Now, let's go to Revelation chapter 8. But remember, keep that in mind. So, Revelation chapter 17, I'm sorry. Revelation 17 and verse 11 through 19, I'll say, 11 through 9, I'm sorry. Revelation 17, verse 11 through 9. And we remember we're talking about the beast. Now check this out. Revelation 17, verses 11 through 9. Verses 9 through 11, I'm sorry. And here is the mind which has wisdom, the 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sits. And there are 7 kings, 5 are fallen, 1 is, and the other is not yet come. And when he comes, he must continue a short space. And the beast that was and is not, even he is the what? 8th, and is of the 7th, and goes into perdition. All right. So remember, I was reading the book of Daniel, chapter 7, 1 through 10. Then I read 7, 25 through 27. Then I came to Revelation 17, 9 through 11. And I did that because I want people to see where each one of these go hand in hand, and it goes back to the book of Daniel. Daniel seen the slavery, that's why he called them kingdoms, because we are the most kingdom, the best kingdom, which is the most high. But the other kingdoms are going to have us in slavery. So in other words, we know that Babylon had us in slavery. We know that Persian Medes had us in slavery. Next, we know that Greece had us in slavery. Next, we know that Rome had us in slavery. Next, and basically kept us in slavery, except we were scattered during the time of 70 AD. A lot of us went down into Africa, and a lot of us was taken into slavery in Spain, Portugal, and parts of Europe. But when we went down into Africa, we created empires like Timbuktu, the Ghana Empire, Ashanti, and all of them. But guess what happened? In 638 AD, the Arabs, the Ottoman Empire came over. Basically, the Arabs, the Ishmaelites, was subject under them. That's why you get Arab from, because they mixed. But the real Ishmaelites was so-called black man, just like me and you, just like the Israelites. Where when they mixed with them, they started to go around, started in the top of North Africa, in Timbuktu, and certain areas around that, started to defeat them. In 642 AD, started to enslave our brothers and sisters and scatter them in certain parts of the world. A lot of them went into East Asia, East Europe, that part, the Arab slave trade. And the ones that was not scattered, we had to basically accept, Islam as our religion from 642. That right there marks the 5th beast that Daniel saw. That marks the fifth beast on the table. If you go to Daniel chapter 7, verse 25 through 26 through 27, he says that we will be given to the beast a time. That's the first time. And then he said another time, 642 to 1445 AD, marks Spain and Portugal, a time and a time. Spain and Portugal, we were subject under them. When they defeated the Moors, they either cast us out, took us back to the west coast of Africa, Guinea, or we had to accept the Christianity religion, or we would never see our kids again, which they never did because they cast the kids out to Africa, or we was put in slavery. So from the time of 1455 to the time of 1619, remember, Arab slave trade, the first time we give it to him. The second time, we get into Spain and Portugal. And then the next, in 1619, that's when the Great Britain and the colony slave trade kicked off. Now, this is very, very important. The colony slave trade kicked off, which we know is Great Britain, the Dutch, and all of them conspired together. From 1619 to 1776, that's when America came free from Great Britain. The first time, Arab slave trade, the second time, Spain and Portugal, and the dividing time. America and Great Britain are the same people, and all them people over there in Europe. That's a dividing time. A time and a time and a dividing time. And it goes along with Revelation chapter 17, verses 9 through 11. It says the eighth beast, because Great Britain is the seventh beast, said the eighth beast came out of the seventh. But the time was divided up. That's why 1619 marks the 400-year prophecy. And of course, we know what's going on today. This is why when somebody said, has 1619 marked the 400-year prophecy, it's the transatlantic slave trade started back in 1455, because it was a different kingdom and a different rule, a time, and divided of times. So I just wanted to revisit that again, because I've seen something about that in Daniel 7, 25 through 27, a time, and divided of time. So we know these different nations were very rude to us, and they had us in slavery, and we know the 1619 stands alone. So people, if somebody come up to you and tell you that 1619 is not marking the 400-year prophecy, and they ask you how, all you got to do is take them to Daniel chapter 7, verses 1 through 10, and then take them to Daniel chapter 7, verses 25 through 27, Revelation chapter 9, verses 9 through, Revelation chapter 17, verses 9 through 11, and that proves the 400-year prophecy, because it stands alone with the Arab slave trade, 642 AD, with the Spain and Portugal slave trade, 1455 AD, with Great Britain goes along with America, which started 1619, leads up to 2019. And we know the plagues has been happening with all kinds of stuff. And quote unquote, you know what I'm talking about, people dying from left and right. I'm not going to say it, but y'all know that the plagues are happening. And it's time for us to go on. So I am praying that the Most High give us that sign. I'm praying that he come. I'm praying whatever, how he gonna do it. I know back when we left Egypt, he used Moses to get us to come out of Egypt, you know. So I'm still praying and looking, because I want to go get into the wilderness. I'm tired of this. I don't know about y'all. I'm pretty sure y'all are. So I just want to revisit that 400-year prophecy to bring some hope to us, because it's time for us to go home. We just got to know when the Most High is going, where we got to have our eyes open and our ears open for this time, for the Most High to tell us to go home, or create a way for us to leave here with great substance. So as I'm talking now, I realize we got to have that great substance. Once we leave here, once we get that great substance, it's time for us to go. Sorry I got for you, brother Eric.
Hey, like Teo say, when 2019, after the 400 years was over, all hell broke loose.
Yes.
That's true.
Yes.
Literally happened, you know. And I used to always say, when that happens, they're not going to tell you that this is a prophecy being fulfilled. They're going to give you all types of backdrop to not even give the indication that the Most High is involved, you know.
Yes.
But one thing I wanted to mention, and I do want to bring up, I want to go ahead and pull up the Genesis real quick, because I want to show you something. I wanted to ask you something.
All right.
But one thing that Brother Bunya used to say a lot is that the curses have already been happening, you know. I was looking at something earlier that talked about how there's a drought pretty much on a major part of the West Coast, that has been affecting a lot of things for the past 20 years or so up to now. But now there's a major drought. And then you look at the birth rate, you know, how their birth rate is dropping, you know.
Mhm.
And so that's an indication that the Most High has been dealing with these people for a while, you know. And when this 400-year marker hit, that's like, okay, now it's on, you know. But let me show you this real quick. Genesis 15, famous chapter. All right, I want to get right to it. It says, Genesis 15:13. It says, and he said unto Abram, know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years, right? Now, verse 14, it says, and also that nation. So you go from a land to a nation, you know, and that sort of covers, because a lot of people say America didn't become a nation until when
1776.
Yeah, but the we know 1690, and another thing I don't get is how people treat 1619 as if it's something new, like it just came up. You know, I'm 20 years out of grade school, out of high school, and one of the things I used to do was write a lot, you know. And 1619 was always known as the year that the first so-called slaves were brought to America under the English colony. So you have to specify all those things, but that's something I never understood. But I wanted to get your take on this, how in verse 13 it mentions the land, and 14 it goes into a nation. Peace and blessings, brother Bunya.
Shalom, shalom, everybody. So you can take and put the land 1619 and that nation 1776. That's unreal, right there. I never looked at that like that. But yeah, it's right there.
Just something to that stood out, brother Bunya. What you got to say on that? How you doing, bro? Can you hear me?
Yeah. Might have stepped away.
Yeah. But what you think about that?
Man, that's right on point. Because it says the land, then it says the nation. And you're right. It didn't come to nation to 1776. And that's why when you look at that, you can, like I said, you can write 1619 on the land, and you can write 1776 on the nation. Wow.
400 years happened in Egypt. That's where it happened at.
Hey,
debate time. Hold up now.
Now I heard somebody say that before, and they said that 400 years, our 400 years was different from their 400 years. So we're using English math and all of that. So
yeah. And Most High didn't mean 400 years when he said that. He didn't mean 400 years. He meant 400 years from Abraham.
Oh yeah. Okay.
yeah.
You know what happened? You know what happened because they came out with great substance in Egypt. They spoiled the Egyptians.
That's why
about 215 years ago.
That constitutes that being fulfilled. Is what you're saying?
Yeah, it was fulfilled in Egypt.
So in case Egypt wasn't a nation when they got there, huh?
Yeah, Egypt wasn't a nation. It started. All right, so It started like this.
Yeah.
See, what you brothers are reading into the text too much. You brothers are following that camp doctrine stuff.
Hey, do you how many pharaohs afflicted them then, if that's the case?
It was
It only talk-
it was two pharaohs. It was Ramesses and the son. You seen the Prince of Egypt, didn't you?
Man, they lived a long time.
I had that movie. What you mean?
They lived a long time.
Hey, that. I wouldn't be surprised if they reached there though, bro. You know, you seen the Prince of Egypt, brother.
Yeah, they lived
seen the
200
Ten
years
Commandments?
apiece, and they lived 200 years apiece.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
You know, he was living like that back then.
Yeah.
Pharaoh lived. Look, that's the most accurate Hollywood production I ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, look. What Bombo said Native American 400 years couldn't be now because Native Americans were already here. Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
So what y'all think about this question on the screen?
Brothers, what y'all all think about? I was at 6. Daniel knew he had 70 years to complete, and do you think the Most High was trying to tell us in this passage? Yeah, I mean Daniel. That's exactly right. After 7 years, they left.
Well. I mean, even if you want to sum it all up into one thing, let me grab some real quick. Hold on. Pardon me. I know I'll be typing loud. All right. So to put it all into perspective, right? Now we know that the conclusion of the whole matter is to keep the Most High's commandments, right? But there's a reason as it benefits us also in the scriptures. In Romans 15:4 says, "For whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning, that we through patience and comfort of the scriptures might have hope." Right? Now, when Daniel received the 70 years to understand, could you put that question back up again? When Daniel received the 70 years, that was to give them hope. To understand that you had 70 years of what was going to happen, and then you leave. The 400 years was to give us hope, so that we can read the scriptures and say, okay, there's hope at the end. There's a light at the end of the tunnel, right? We're gonna go through 400 years of affliction, and then this nation's gonna be judged, and then we're gonna come out with great substance. That's what, you know. As far as the numbers given, that's what they were for. You know, the precise day that we leave out, I don't believe it was given for the express purpose that brothers are sincere in their obedience. You know, because a lot of people think that they can just, you know, walk away from the Most High all their life, and then all of a sudden when the 400 years is almost up, let me straighten myself out. Now you have to be sincere in this walk. You know, you have to keep your eyes open and look at the things that's happening around you. Be diligent, be sober-minded, and follow the Most High. Right? So that when you see these things happening, you can say, okay, 400 years happened, and now we're facing judgment right now. You're going to be seeing people all around you getting judged. You're seeing how people being judged. The Most High said he said that he would make an end of all nations. He will make a full end of all nations, but he will not leave us altogether unpunished. Right? So this is a time to beware of how you walk. Be circumspect. Right? But yeah, it was for our understanding of knowing. And then you can look at it. There's a lot of people who don't believe it. You know? Well, you can bring all kind of information too, but you was going to say, bro?
Hey, look, put Willie Evans' question up here. Well, see if you can hit this. Willie Evans, he said, "My brothers, the time that our ancestors lived in Africa is 430 years."
So here's the thing. When we talk about the scripture and you're looking into prophecy, you have to look into each stipulation of that prophecy and say, did it come to pass here or there? You see what I'm saying? Israelites were in bondage. The northern kingdom was in bondage long before Mashiach came. Almost 800 years. You see what I'm saying? So it's not about just one specific sector of it. Everything has to match up. Every puzzle has to fit. Every piece has to fit. If it don't fit, then we're in the same position as those who are saying it's in Egypt. Right? If we're saying we got 400 years of affliction and we don't got everything else happening, we don't got judgment happening, we can't speak on the great substance because that doesn't happen until after we come out.
That's right.
So if it didn't happen in Egypt and we didn't see it happening anywhere in the past, we have to concede that either it's happening now or we got another 400 years of affliction somewhere to go through. You see what I'm saying? We got another 400 years of slavery and bondage to go through with some other nation. You know? So every piece has to fit.
And also to add to what you're saying about the sister's question, if I'm not mistaken, was Jeremiah among the prophets who was taken into Babylon when they went into captivity into Babylon? I believe Jeremiah was among them, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think he was. Yeah, because he asked, was Israel put on earth? You know, I'm paraphrasing, to be a slave.
Right.
Yeah.
But then when you get into the Apocrypha, you have the letter of Jeremiah, and to sort of add to that 70 years in that letter of Jeremiah, the Most High was speaking through Jeremiah to let the people know that while they were in Babylon for that time, to mimic any of the ways or the things that the other nations were doing. And so that was to further add to the hope, to let them know that although the Most High was punishing them, he was still with them, you know. And just like in our time, he said he would be a sanctuary among his people where they are scattered, you know. So just to add to that, you know, that hope, we have that constant hope, you know, throughout the scripture, throughout all the ages, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So I want to add to what Manuel was talking about, Willie Evans' statement on the 400 years. We know if you get the Septuagint, it tells us that we was in Canaan and Egypt 430 years. If you look in the book of Joshua, let us know we was in Egypt 210 years. Remember, it says afflicted 400 years. So from the time of Joseph got to Egypt, from the time of 70 souls came over, Joseph around 38 years, and he lived to be 110. And we lived great. He was second in command. We weren't afflicted during that time. We live in the best land of Goshen. So he died at 71 years. If you subtract that, what's that, 71? Subtract from 430. If you subtract that from 430, that what gives you what? That's what, 51 years or something like that. So that right there knocks out not even being there 430 years. So we know that can happen. That's just simple. There's so much other stuff we can add to that. I mean, you look at Moses' granddaddy. He came over, and back then we was not living to like 400 or 500 years old. So I think 110 years, we was living like we lived, dying like we dying now, not like we was back with Enoch and all them and Noah. So that right there, that 430 years, I would say that, brother, really read the Septuagint. You'll see what I'm talking about. Read the book of Jasher. Look for it's talking about how long we was in Egypt. Also, do the math of. Remember, it says afflicted 400 years with Joseph and all of that.
Okay.
I think I would like to get a better understanding by what he means when he says our ancestors lived in Africa. You know?
Yeah.
Oh, so yeah, he could be
I,
talking about that's all Africa, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think I'm not sure if he was talking specifically on Egypt or if he was talking about, the dispersion into Africa. And that's what I'm wondering. But then again, the thing is we frequent that area the whole since our ancestors existed. They've been frequenting that area, so I'm with brother Eric on that. I would like to get more understanding on what exactly he meant when he said that. But I would say this, man. Everything outside of the numbers is really straw man. And the reason why I say that is because how do you translate 430 from English into Hebrew? What is 430 years according to the Hebrew? It's still 430 years, right? No matter what you translate, you can't. Does the number change according to the translation? Did the amount of number years change according to the translation? And that's what I want to know, right? Because if it says 400 years, that's a definite number. That doesn't change. The math don't change. You can go into other translations that may give you more specifics on it. Like for instance, brothers, you guys are familiar. Who does the Targum say the 400 years would be under? Does it say to be under Egypt? It says to be under Esau, right?
Esau. It talks about Rome, the last kingdom. Yeah.
Exactly. So I mean, those of us that understand who's ruling this kingdom right now and who's implanted or sitting on many waters, right? We know who that is, right? We know that their mark is on them. They exalt themselves as the eagle. So I it's not really hard. It's not hard to see, but the numbers don't lie, man. Anybody that you talk to, anybody that's willing to admit any similitude of the truth would tell you that the numbers don't lie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we can actually see the things that's happening. By the way, I want to give a special acknowledgement to our brother over in Australia. I saw a lot of things happening over there, and I got kind of concerned, because I know we have people over there as well. Say a lot of storms and stuff was hitting, and in other places too. So that's one thing that people can't deny, and like you said, what constitutes judgment to a person, what has to happen. I know a lot of things are not happening to the magnitude here that is happening in other places, but I believe that the Most High is reserving this particular space that we're in for like when you read Revelations 18, and it talks about in a moment, or in an hour, how the judgment is going to come down all of a sudden on this place. So it's a lot of things to consider like that as well, which I think.
Yeah, amen. Like 100%, bro. Like when our forefathers was captive in Egypt, things happened to Egypt. That should have been signs to the Egyptian early on to let our people go. And you see these same things happening all around the world, but because people's minds are polluted with this scientific nonsense, they don't want to take it into account. You see water turning blood red everywhere, man. Why aren't you asking what the heck are we doing for water to be turning blood red all of a sudden? You see hell falling in places where it's warm weather, earthquakes in diverse places, and people still ain't saying what the heck is going on. What are we doing for this to be happening? Everybody just want to be, oh yeah, that's science, or since the day that our forefathers fell asleep, all things continue as they are. So they're ignorant of this one fact that one day to the Most High is as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is one day. Everybody expecting the Most High to do what, they expecting it to be some type of warning to everybody where they gonna see it, but he's been giving you warnings in the sky, blood moons, and everything. And people don't think this stuff mean anything because they live in this mindset that science is supposed to be everything, and you just happen to exist, and it's just a coincidence that the stars and the moon and everything is set up in the right place for you to be able to survive on this planet. That water and everything that you need just happen to be here for you to thrive and live, But you can't find this on anywhere these so-called planets that you live on that's outside of this plane. Come on, man. Look, people don't want it. They don't want it.
I'm gonna tell you what just popped up in my head. I'm gonna tell you what they waiting on. You know how when you watch those apocalypse movies, and the whole city, is being invaded and about to flood or whatever, and it's always one dude that save everybody, and overcomes whatever come, whether it be a flood or alien invasion or whatever. It's always one dude that save everybody. That's what they waiting on. They think it's gonna be like the movies, when the movies is really making mockery of the actual events that's gonna take place. You know what I mean?
Well, there is one dude coming, but he the one that y'all gonna be thinking y'all can fight against.
Man, that's what they thinking though.
Gonna come down, might have some shades on. They ain't gonna like that. But get back to that. You're right. How people are looking for all kinds of strange things according to the movies. But you know what? I was doing a study on the Pharaoh with Ramsey, and I don't know how true this is, but I heard that he was E1B1A or E1B1B. Now, also I realized that Esau had kids by people out of Mizraim. And some people now think that Ramsey is of Esau with that bloodline. Now, I don't know how true this is. I'm still looking at it. But if it's true, I wonder, this is just a thought, y'all, and nothing, why the water has to turn red. You know what I'm saying? To Esau, the water's turning red. It's like a sign that Esau is ruling, but his ruling coming to an end. I don't know if that's it, but it's just something to think about.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, you remember the information we went into that showed it wasn't even really actually an Egyptian that was afflicting us.
That's right.
It was an Assyrian. It was an Assyrian that had been ruling, or it was a Canaanite. It was a Canaanite that had been ruling in Assyria.
Esau had kids by who? The Canaanites.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm still looking at it. Yeah.
That's a real deep lesson right there to go into. But along with that, you might want to have to identify who the Hyksos is too, because it's been different type of thoughts on that, who they actually were, Bo said, what did she said? You let the Most High be true and every man a liar. Amen.
So Tia Ministry said the Assyrian Macamaran,
yeah.
Macaron.
Yeah.
So, it's just a thought I had. I mean, you notice the waters turn red, and we know Esau came out red. So I was that a sign of Esau's rule going gritty? Water's been turning red here too. So
Yeah.
I hope it is a sign of that. The rule of Esau is going to crumble down.
That's the crazy thing about it, man, is they've been cloning animals for a while now. And they've been messing up the seeds by mingling them. And I don't know what they were doing it was something they was doing to the seeds. I think they were just making them GMO seeds or something like that. Where the seeds are coated with something to make it grow faster. But it was messing it up for any future growth. It was messing the soil up. That they couldn't grow anything else after they grew that. So, for all we know, we could have been in the famine. They probably just, cloning animals and different types of seeds.
Yup, cloning trees. I tell you one thing to talk about, man. I saw a video yesterday about it was dealing with the military in China, the Chinese military, and they were doing demonstrations showing how the soldiers were prepped for war and everything. Man, they had a dude literally ran his face through some bricks. They had the dude break glass, and he just fell down on the glass, and they start putting stuff on top of him while he on top of the glass. So just letting you know, these guys are prepped. Some people were saying that those were some mutant, like, super soldiers or whatever. But this dude, you know how when you're watching a kung fu demonstration, right? How a dude might break some bricks, this dude just literally just ran his face through the bricks.
Yeah, that sounds
like
like
running
some
full
Chinese
speed.
stuff.
He just.
I don't want to sound racist, but that sounds like some Chinese stuff.
Hey, you sure that wasn't that dude that was looking at you, Brother Eric, in that church?
Say it again.
Sure that wasn't that dude that was looking at you in that church?
Nah, that wasn't him. Nah, that wasn't. Look, I'm glad it wasn't either. I have to sit and wait a minute. I mean, you got to take your time with somebody like that, man. You're like, man, look, I can't just use a stick for you.
We got you had Eric leaving out the back door after service.
Because it might be more of them. It might be more of them.
Oh my God.
I'm not Bruce Lee, man. Come on.
Hey, but have y'all ever looked at God and Magog and see exactly at the pinpoint? If you look at, like, I got the Quran. When the Quran talks about it, it talks about a long, like an iron wall they built. It actually sounds like China for real in the Quran.
Should I go park in my spot?
Yeah.
Or should I park here?
Yeah.
Park here, just so you don't have to worry about it.
And you got.
But then it's gonna like why?
That sounds like North Korea.
North Korea.
Hold on.
Huh. It might have been, man, but I know whoever those dudes are, I see why it said that the men in Babylon gonna be like women. You see a dude run his face through some bricks, you just gonna look at your hand like, man. Might break your fist trying to hit him in the face.
See, this is why the Most High is going to transform our bodies, because they got robot soldiers, they got all kinds of stuff coming out, and we ain't gonna be able to handle them with mortality bodies. I mean, Mike Tyson wouldn't be able to handle them if somebody ran their face through a brick. So this is why I think the transformation to immortality is gonna happen.
It had to. I mean,
Well, we spoke on that already, man. And you know, when you combine First Corinthians, First Thessalonians, and the Book of Joel, the you know the narrative is clear. It's clear. You know who does the Most High say his weapons of war are? He says Israel. He said, "Ye are my weapons of war." Right? Ye are my battle axe and weapons of war. You see these? Do you see that weapon of war being played out in Joel? You know, at the end of Joel, I think it's chapter 2. It says for what?
Which one you talking about?
All right, so let me just read this. If you get a chance to go through First Thessalonians, let me see if I can run it down real quick. See if I can run this down.
do y'all believe that King David during his time had that power, that immortal fighting ability?
Yeah, I do.
I think that the Most High can bestow that on anybody. You know, if it's for the Most High purpose. I told you about when I was younger and we got into that situation down there in Mexico, right?
Yeah.
Hey, it is no way that I got out of that situation when you know, and I just you know, in all honesty, bro, I didn't have no business down there, but I was young and we was in the military and everything. And you know, when you in the military, you partying and you going places.
Yeah.
But man, bro, I had a crowd of guys on me, man, and the Most High had me start swinging, and every punch that landed laid somebody out, bro, to the point that the whole crowd parted. They stopped like, whoa.
Yeah.
Most High saved me that day, and that's why I also say to people when it comes to the Most High's name, you better be calling it in sincerity, because when they was on me, man, I asked for Jesus. I ain't know no other names, but the Most High heard me. He heard me, and he got me out of that situation, and I got out of it unscathed, unharmed. That's crazy. You would have seen like my friends that was with me couldn't get to me through the crowd. That's how thick the crowd was on me, man. When I got out in the crowd party and I came out of the crowd, they're like, "How you get out of that?" All right, so 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, 15 through 17. In 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 50 to 54, and if you read that in conjunction with Joel chapter 2, it sums up everything. It sums up this so-called rapture thing that they're talking about.
Yeah.
It shows you that that rapture is not for the calling up, is not for anybody to be says whisked away into purgatory or whatever. What have you, you know? It's for them to be transformed into immortals in order to fight this war, right? In order to fight this war. Now, it's a pretty bleak situation when you read it, because it says, "Blow ye the trumpet in Zion, and sound the alarm in my holy mountain. Let all the inhabitants of the land tremble, for the day of the Lord cometh, for it is nigh at hand. A day of darkness and of gloominess, a day of clouds and of thick darkness, as the morning spreads upon the mountains, a great people and a strong, there hath not been ever the like, neither shall be any more after it, even to the years of many generations." So it's talking about a people that there's never been like. It's never been a people like this, and there'll never be a people like this again, right? It says, "A fire devoureth before them, and behind them a flame burneth. The land is as a garden of Eden before them, and behind them a desolate wilderness. Yea, and nothing shall escape them." Wow. It says, "The appearance of them as the appearance of horses, and as horsemen, so shall they run. Like the noise of chariots on top of mountains, shall they leap. Bro, it's talking about leaping up on mountains, bro. Leaping mountains, right? It says, like the noise of a flame of fire that devoured the stubble, as a strong people set in battle array. Before their faces the people shall be much pain. All faces shall gather blackness. They shall run like mighty men. They shall climb the walls like men of war. They shall march everyone in his way, and they shall not break their ranks. Neither shall one thrust another. They shall walk everyone in his path, and when they fall upon the sword, they shall not be wounded. Immortals. This mortal must put on immortality. Right? This corruption must take on incorruption, and this mortal must put on immortality. Right? But at the end of it, it says, in verse 11, not the end of it, but in verse 11, it says, and the Lord shall utter his voice before his army, for his camp is very great, for he is strong that executeth his word. For the day of the Lord is great and very terrible, and who can abide in it? So, according to it said, this is his army. So, who did the Most High say was his weapons of war? Who did the Most High say was his battle axe?
Israel.
See what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So right now in our current state, we not dangerous, right? But when you want to kill off as much of us as you can, if we're going to be transformed into something like that, that's unstoppable. That's immortal. You're like, you talking about they can't be killed.
Hey, you know,
glorified bodies that can't be destroyed.
It's a story that come out of Africa. This guy back in the 60s has said that they call him the Black Jesus, and he had that type of power. I can pull this guy up on. I don't know if it's still on YouTube, but this white guy wrote about it, and he swear up and down this is a true story. And it said the government tried to kill him, they couldn't kill him, and he said that he told the government in the future more like me would come, so he left. I don't know how true the story is. They call him the Black Jesus.
Man,
it sounds like the immortality what you was getting.
And pardon my interruption, bro, but I actually got to step back out to. I got to step back out to the job, bro.
All right.
Yeah, I wish I could stay, man. I would love to, but I'm trying to save up my PTO.
Well, you need to do a teaching on that immortality. That was pretty good.
I actually did. I did speak on that before.
Okay.
But I think we could do it again. Do another one. It'd definitely be beneficial to bring it out again.
Yeah, show people that.
That's actually gonna be part of the lesson that I'm working on.
Replacement.
I just got finished recording that part of it. Yeah.
What's harder, bricks or steel?
I would say steel.
Steel.
Yeah.
Well, bricks are harder, but steel
you can't break. I mean, I can say you can't break steel, but
steel can bend to a certain degree, but it won't break. Bricks can't bend.
He said, "He teach my hands to war, so that a bow of steel is broken by mine arms."
Good God Almighty.
So, I guess this would mean that if that dude would have ran through a thing of steel, then okay. But if the Most High is telling us that this is the power He can bestow upon us, then we have absolutely nothing to fear. Those who He appoint to this.
Yeah. He ran up on me. I got that steel power. I'm gonna break his face. Yeah.
So
we got a lot to look for this upcoming days and weeks and whatever, how long it's going to take, but we got a lot to look for and going back home. Listen to the Most High, keeping our eyes open for that. If we receive that, substance, however it comes, we know definitely it's time to go home, and we know definitely that. What is
Get out
that?
of here, Bruce Leroy.
Catching bullets with you. Catching
Hey, man, I
bullets.
love that. I
Jeez.
love that movie.
He said, "In, please."
I got something real for you with these hands. I didn't want to say what he said, but that's one of my favorites. Man.
What's his name? Show enough. Show enough.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, yeah. Bruce Leroy.
I think in another discussion, we can try to show how this second Exodus is tied to the salvation. We know that the tents of Judah gonna be saved first, but we ought to get together and put something together on that.
Yeah, because we know in the first Exodus, he says, basically be quiet and see the salvation of the Lord. That's when that sea opened up, Red Sea went up, and then we walked through on dry ground. And then you got people trying to say, this will get, I had a Christian guy ask me, matter of fact, it was my nephew. He gonna say, well, why would God lead them to the Red Sea? And I said, really? Why would you ask me that? Well, why would he? And for some reason, I guess he thought he had me backed up. I kept asking, why would you ask me that stupid question? And he was like, no, why would he? I said, because we had to fight a war. We had the army on our backs. And that's what the Most High used to destroy the army. He said, like a light bulb went off. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's more. I tell you, I'm glad I'm out of Christianity.
Yeah. Yeah. But real quick before we close out, I got something for the chat, and this is something we talked about before, brother Kadar. But he say, when you look at a jawbone of a donkey and see how many dudes Samson took out, being in Yah's will makes us dangerous. Absolutely.
That's right.
I want you to consider something. Yeah. All right. Now, I like watching kung fu movies and stuff like that at times. Mm-hmm. I'm not an expert in any kind of way. I don't specialize in it, but I do enjoy looking at it. I like the art form. I like the possibilities of it. And every time I look at it, I always think that it's something divine about that art form, like how can a man fight off that many men at once, unless he understands or he's, fighting in a divine kind of way. That's the only way you can defeat that many people at one time. And so when you look at the art form of karate, kung fu, that's what we call it. I know that they say it's some spirits behind it, but then when you look at it, how it's portrayed, and you look at the idea of it, could it be something divine, more divine behind that than we understand? And could that have been a way that the Most High used to fight through some of these people, to fight off 100 people at once? I know they wasn't just coming at them one at a time. You got 100 people surrounding you, coming at you from different directions. What you think about that? And that's really for Big Red. That's just something I'm throwing out there real quick. We about to close out.
Yes, a possibility that the Asians or Chinese could have found the secrets to what we used to do. How that we fight. But Also, I look at a lot of ultimate fighting. The same guys that do come from them areas, they don't do so good in the ring. When you look at it for real, they don't do as good as is on the movies. What I'm saying, but yes, I think because you got David and you got Samson, and they was killing men all by themselves, 10,000 stuff like that. They had to have some type of form, and that right there could be the form of style of fighting. But Samson was real strong too with that. So yes, I mean, I think it could be. I don't know. I mean, something just throwing out there, but I guess we have to look at Samson, do a study on Samson, or David, and see how was they fighting. That's a good idea. Maybe that's what we're supposed to do anyway. So yes, I guess I watch a lot of karate and the stuff they do. I did take Jeet Kune Do up with my cousin. We did it for a while too, and the main thing that we learned in Jeet Kune Do is straight jab. In other words, you can't go wrong with straight jab, straight punches, and have them come like a real fast as lightning. And that's the one thing we learn in Jeet Kune Do, that it's hard to go wrong with straight jab. But I mean, I'm pretty sure some of that stuff that we see on the movies in karate is real, and they have people done that. So yes, I think it's certain type of spirit, because you notice they tell you be humble, don't start fighting. They try not to fight. That's what they teach you. But you notice the bad guys in the movies always want to fight, but they always get the tail whooped because they starting to fight. And the ones that the great fighters in these karate movies, they like, I don't want to fight. They're like a discipline they have. And they tell you, don't get mad. Don't fight mad. So it is some type of spirit behind it. That's something to look into, I say.
Well, hope y'all ready to be like Ip Man.
Yeah.
I saw that movie, man. That's one of those movies I had to watch over. And I know there's a lot of theater behind it, and they speed up the cameras and everything. But then, those types of things are possible. Like if you get into some of that underground fighting and all that, you'll see dudes doing some stuff, man. Like, dang, special moves and
yeah,
things that you don't see normally.
But have you ever watched Mortal Kombat 1 or Enter the Dragon, Bruce Lee's Enter the Dragon?
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Okay. Mortal Kombat 1 it's taken from Bruce Lee Enter the Dragon. Complete same storyline. But the only thing they do, they take it a step farther in that and make it like let's take it a step farther and make it like Luke Kane is more like a Jesus, like he gotta save the universe. And when he defeat the sorcerers, he's like the devil. When he defeat the sorcerers let up all the spirits come up out of his bodies that he had took. And they wouldn't go flying up into heaven, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. He said Israelites are naturally fight oriented, and the Most High could easily quicken that which is in us. Yeah. Because if you think about when he said how 10 men would fight off 1,000,
Yeah.
They didn't have guns and all that. They had swords and stuff like that. So I'm sure they engaged in a lot of hand-to-hand combat, So I'm sorry, y'all. I done got all into a whole nother discussion about that.
Well, I'm ready to get off here, man. I gotta get ready for bed. Get ready for bed, and one day, y'all, we're gonna be out of this mess. Yeah. We ain't gonna get back in this mess no more. That's one thing I like about it.
Yep. And you're gonna have Me, Brother Kadar, Brother Hal, Big Red, Yashadek, we're gonna all be the Kung Fu Clan. Immortal.
I better keep lifting my weights then. Gotta get ready.
All right, everybody. I wanna say shalom and blessings to everybody.
Shalom.
I hope everybody enjoyed the conversation for tonight. And most I willing, we're gonna do this again soon. To those who have to get up in the morning, I pray you have a good night. Pray that the Most High lead you to your destination safely, to and from. And until we meet again, may the Most High be with you. May He keep you. May He bless you, you and your families. Hallelujah and amen. Peace.
Peace.